What's going on, family? This is David W. Williams, the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the world, also known as Diamond Dave. And what we're going to talk about today is how to get more sales by applying this really basic or fundamental marketing tactic. And so this is going to be really good information for a business owner who wants to try to understand how to position yourself properly in the mind of your prospect or consumer, right? And how that positioning will drive you more sales. See, one of the biggest challenges a lot of business owners have in the minds of their consumer is they just really blend into everybody else in that particular space that's doing the same thing as them. There's no way to differentiate yourself, right? So you come across as very common, you come across as very normal, you also come across as very vanilla. And once your prospect or your consumer sees you that way, they don't value what you do, right? So you always have to work to impress on the mind of your consumer or your prospect that what you bring to the table and how you can solve their specific problem and how you can get them to their desired state, right, makes you important and makes you different, right? Because it's not just about being better, it's really more about being different in a way in which solves the problem of your ideal customer. So let me give you a really quick story. So if you ever watched the movie Miami Vice, the new remake of the old Miami Vice with Jamie Foxx and the Australian dude. So they down there in Haiti and with the Colombian guy, and they're negotiating a trafficking deal. And the Colombian guy says, hey, how do I know y'all are any good at this? Because I've never really heard of you before. And then he kind of starts asking them specific questions that are kind of designed to vet them out. And Jamie Foxx stops the conversation. He says, you know what? We don't necessarily audition for people. People audition for us. And what Jamie Foxx understood is that this conversation is starting to turn to where we're losing positioning, right, in the eyes of this particular person. Or we don't have the right position in the eyes of this particular person. And what happened is this whole scenario will start to turn sour. Okay? So he immediately had to jump in there. What's going on, Demetrius? I'm sorry, what's going on, Demetrius? My bad. So he immediately had to jump in there, right, and change the energy of the situation, right? You deal with this, right, with your customer, with your prospect, where they may see you, they may reach out to you, and they may say, hey, I'm interested in yada, yada, yada. And you may say, you know what, I can solve that particular problem for you. Here's what I offer. Then what they're going to do is hit you with this list of questions, right, to try to vet you, right, on whether or not you can actually do what you say they can do, even though you've shown them results from the form of testimonials or samples, or you have a portfolio. And what you have to understand is that you can't play that game with them. The moment you play that game with them, you've already lost. So this is what I do, and I'm going to try to get you to understand this is what I do. And I learned this from some really high level people to position. I have like a website. I got a LinkedIn page. I got a YouTube. I got an Instagram. I got a Facebook. If you want information on me, go to those platforms. What I don't do, and I made this mistake in the past, I can tell you a real quick story where there was a guy who was selling this menswear product, right? It was a men's luxury bag product. He claimed he wanted to hire me as a Facebook media buyer. He claimed he had, he was doing good sales, and I talked to his partner. I literally sat on the phone with his partner for like 2 hours explaining what I could do for them. Broke down a whole prospectus of how I was going to do their media buys, right? Spent 2 to 3 hours talking to them, also talking to him. And then at the end, they dropped the ball on going further with the contract. So those 3 hours I never got back. And you know what I said after that? I'll never do that again. If somebody reaches out to me, right, about what I do, okay, I'm going to very succinctly explain to them the value that I bring to the situation, what makes me different than everybody else they're dealing with. And from there on, they now have to go do the work to figure out whether or not I'm the right person for them. I don't sell myself to people. My attitude is that my marketing is so good, my marketing does my selling for me. And so if when a person comes to me and they want to play the 20 questions game, I don't play that game with them. Either I don't answer the question or I use very ambiguous language in answering. So I never give them a direct answer because I understand what's really driving their behavior, even though they may not understand it. I understand that's what's driving their behavior. And what I'm not going to do is put myself in a position where I have to jump through 30 hoops to prove to them that I'm the right person for the job. Because it's not like we're talking about $1 million contract. And what a lot of times you'll find is that when people reach out to you about jobs or to get contracted, the person that has the least amount of money wants you to do the most, wants you to prove yourself to them the most before they hire you for the job. Why? Because that money that they're going to give you, because they don't have a lot of it, it means so much to them. So they're really worried about exchanging that money with you. So one of the ways in which you get around that is you don't engage in it. You speak your value proposition. You speak what makes you different, right? And you say, hey, these are the platforms in which I have archived information on. I have testimonials on. And if you want to go seek out those platforms, you're ready to do that. And when you're ready to, hire me for a position, let's get back and talk. But don't spend your time talking to these people hours and hours and hours for free. Why? Because they don't value you if you do that. And you may say, well, you know what? I'm desperate to bring in business. I'm desperate to have customers. You can't be desperate. What you need to do is figure out what is the actual problems of your customer. How do you solve those problems at a very deep level, and learn how to communicate to your customer, your ideal customer, effectively that you can solve their problem. And you need to make that your work as opposed to trying to sell yourself to people. OK, you're wasting your time trying to do that, because the more you try to do that, the less they believe that you can solve their problem. See, when you start talking about people that are positioning themselves to be the solution to a very high level problem, they do very little in selling themselves to people. If you go to a cardiologist, he's not going to sit there and talk to you for 2 hours about, sorry about that, somebody tried to call me through Facebook, some reason. So if you go talk to a cardiologist, right, they're not going to sit inside their office and try to talk to you about why they're the appropriate cardiologist for you. They're there to diagnose your problem and give you a solution. If you don't think they're the right cardiologist, go to another one, right? Because they already making $400 or $500 an hour, so they don't have time to go back and forth with you over the small details. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? You have to start seeing yourself as being able to solve that kind of problem in the eyes of your customer. And if you can't solve that kind of problem in the eyes of your customer, I would ask you why you're in business. If you're running a one-man operation or a two-man operation or a three-person operation, and you're not solving really, really important problems in the eyes of your consumer, I would ask you, why are you in business in the first place? Because the only way you're going to get compensated is to solve big problems in the eyes of your consumer. So you don't want to solve small problems, because the fact that you're solving a small problem, your consumer feels like I can either take it or leave it. You want to make your consumer or your ideal prospect feel like they're missing out and their problem will never get solved if they don't deal with you. And that comes from understanding what their problem really is and being able to express your value proposition and what makes you different. And you having the ability to do that is what's going to drive more revenue and drive more sales into your company. But I don't play this game. I had somebody the other day start asking me a whole bunch of questions. Like, let me see your website. My question is, if you want to see my website, after you see my website, are you going to buy something from me? OK, because if that's not the case, then what did you want to see the website for? You understand what I'm trying to tell you? After you see the testimonials, are you going to want to buy something? If that's the case, then what did you want to see the testimonials for? And so what I don't do is I don't play the game of like, I'm an information junkie and I want to just get as much information as I can on Diamond Dave because I just like a lot of information. Then go do a Google search. Go to my YouTube, go to my LinkedIn, go to my Facebook, go to my Instagram, and spend your time combing through all that content. But what I'm not going to do is sit on the internet with you while you do it, because I don't get paid for that. And it's not to be disrespectful or to disregard the prospect. Is I understand mentally what they're doing, and it doesn't benefit my business and my positioning to play that game with them. So I know for a fact, if you implement these principles into your business, it's going to change how your ideal prospect and your current prospect see you. And it's also going to allow you, right, to generate more revenue. And it's not about being disrespectful. It's not about disregarding your prospect or your ideal customer. I don't teach that. I teach to always be respectful of the people that you do business with. But what is it about is making sure that they also respect you and what you have to bring to the table. And they see you as being a different solution to a problem that they've had for a very, very long time. So if you got any questions, hit me up. If you got value in this and you know somebody else would get value in this, share it out to somebody else. Okay. This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the world. I'll talk to you later.